When I married into the Meng family as a second wife, I already knew that Meng Tianqing held deep affection and loyalty for his late wife, Lady Gu. Not only had he taken her younger sister as a favored concubine, but he had also designated Lady Gu's legitimate son as the heir apparent. If you want the dignity of a main wife, drink this first. On our wedding night, he stood by the window, his back to me. On the table sat a bowl of cold, barrenness-inducing soup. I tilted my head back and drank it down without hesitation. He turned, startled. It was clear to me that within these inner courtyards, regardless of favor or neglect, only offspring were the true bargaining chips for women. He didn't believe I cared. But I never came here expecting eternal love. What difference did it make whether I held that card or not? 10 years ago, my scholarly family fell into ruin. My father was framed and executed. My mother took her own life in protest. Our entire family was imprisoned, awaiting exile. It was my eldest sister who, through her lotus-like beauty and voice that filled the hall with applause, caught the crown prince's eye. Only then were my brother and I spared from guilt, avoiding death on the exile road. A month before my comingafage ceremony, she was granted the title of consort. The banquet bestowed by His Majesty to celebrate her promotion was sparsely attended. Those noble ladies of high families disdained to grace it with their presence. Even the few lowly guests who did attend made no effort to hide their snide remarks, openly and covertly mocking her lack of scholarly background and her reliance on mere beauty. They insinuated that one day, when her beauty faded, the favor would wane. Yet my eldest sister, engrossed in the crab roe pastry in her hands, paid them no mind. Do you know how these pastries are made? It takes over 1,000 crabs. The roe is extracted, ground into a paste, then simmered for 24 hours straight just to get these few pieces. They live for appearances, but we must live for substance. Besides, time is on our side. Once we've built enough substance, why would we ever lack prestige? She also said a woman's youth is the sharpest tool for climbing and leaning on others. My marriage should not be delayed any longer. I've selected 2 families for you. Whichever one you choose is up to you. She laid out the details of both families before me. One was the imperial merchant Su family. Their young master possessed a handsome and distinguished bearing, renowned among the capital's women for his talents. Yet born into a merchant house, he could only inherit the family business and was barred from entering officialdom. The other was the House of Meng, the Marquis of Dingnan, a noble and influential family. The Marquis, widowed, sought a new wife. Though 10 years my senior, he enjoyed great prestige and held real power within the military. After careful consideration, I placed the Meng family's dossier before my eldest sister. Have you thought this through? My usually calm and easygoing sister was unusually serious. She picked up the Su family's booklet and analyzed the pros and cons with me. The Su family is prosperous, and their son is a rare gem of a husband. With your talents, a harmonious marriage would be easily within your grasp. As for the Meng family, their prestige is undeniable, but the Marquis harbors lingering affection for his former wife, has taken a favored concubine, and still keeps his legitimate son occupying the title. If you marry into that household, you'll likely find no peace. I understood my elder sister's meaning. The Su family was a golden nest of wealth and privilege, while the Meng family was a den of dragons and tigers. Yet even this den of dragons and tigers was the best match my elder sister had managed to secure for me, having humbled herself to beg His Majesty to select among the capital's noble families. I asked my eldest sister only, is my brother now serving as a commander under him? A faint mist of pity flickered in my sister's eyes as she nodded. Then there was nothing left to deliberate. I took the Su family's marriage register from her hands, tossed it into the brazier, and knelt 3 times, bowing my head to thank her for her kindness. My sister prepared a magnificent wedding procession for me. Yet on the wedding day, the Meng family sent word. Our Marquis decrees that as this is a second marriage, the bride need only enter by palanquin. All other ceremonial trappings may be dispensed with. My brother, incensed, sought to stand up for me, but he was departing for war the very next day. This campaign to quell the rebellion was a rare opportunity. A mere mop-up operation could earn him glory and rewards. It wasn't worth sacrificing the greater good for such a minor dispute. I quickly stopped him and had Lady Lu slip a red envelope to the steward. Since it is the Marquis' command, this humble wife shall comply. We shall depart at once. The journey was somber and silent, devoid of any festive air. Upon entering the Meng residence, even the usually composed Lady Lu couldn't contain her anger. That Duke of Dingnan has gone too far. Regardless of circumstances, he married you by imperial decree. Flaunting his authority is one thing, but how can this house be draped in mourning banners as if someone had died? Pushing aside my face-covering fan, I peered out. It wasn't quite that dramatic. Merely 2 white lanterns hung before the main hall, with a spirit tablet set up in front. The memorial tablet bore the inscription, "The late consort, Mother Meng, Lady Gu." It suddenly dawned on me. Meng Tianqing had no intention of performing the wedding rites with me. Fearing his deceased wife's spirit might take offense, he was wise to avoid awkwardness. I didn't make a scene, merely asking the steward where my quarters were. The moment I stepped inside, an ink-stained pellet shot straight for my forehead. Fortunately, I'd learned some self-defense techniques from my elder brother over the years. My dodge was swift enough that it only grazed the hairpin at my temple. Otherwise, making a fool of myself would have been the least of it. Being out of commission for 10 days or even a fortnight wouldn't have been a joke. Where did this brat come from? Get down this instant. Nanny Lu, worried for me, pointed angrily at the child in the tree. Behind me came a sharp, spiteful rebuke. What kind of filthy hag are you? Do you think you, a lowly creature like yourself, can insult the heir to our Dingnan Marquis? The words were pointed, clearly aimed at someone else. I turned to see a woman of striking beauty, her face like peach blossoms, undaunted by the grand display. She even dared to roll her eyes at me in defiance, standing there smugly, waiting for me to lose control. Then I knew she was the concubine Gu Wanning, the younger sister of the Gu family's legitimate wife. She was the one who had incited her elder sister's heir to humiliate me on my wedding day, leaving me utterly disgraced. Her aim was clear, to provoke me into losing my composure, to make me quarrel with Meng Tianqing and thus violate her sister's taboos. That way, even if I had married into the family and become the legitimate wife, without my husband's affection and having lost my last shred of dignity, I would be nothing but a figurehead. She, meanwhile, would remain the foremost noblewoman. Even if word reached the outside world, she could wash her hands of it entirely. It would simply be that the child was too young for a concubine-born mother to discipline, while I, the legitimate mother, lacked tolerance, using the previous wife's child as a stepping stone to assert my authority on my very first day in the household. It seemed a perfectly calculated scheme, but alas, I smiled gently, taking her hand without a trace of resentment. This must be Sister Gu. As your new elder sister, I humbly request your future support. I slipped the bracelet from my wrist and placed it on hers. True to form, she fiercely flung it away in disgust. The bracelet clattered to the floor, shattering into pieces. Her force nearly knocked me off balance, though Lady Lu was furious. She wasn't foolish. Having served my elder sister in the palace for so many years, she'd seen every kind of dramatic scene. I gave her a subtle glance, and she immediately scrambled to steady me. Good heavens, what manner of rules reign in the Dingnan Marquis household? To disregard hierarchy and defy one's superiors. It struck Gu Wanning's raw nerve as a concubine. She pointed an accusing finger at me and screamed, "What are you? Some worthless thing, daring to call yourself my sister? My elder sister is the true Lady Dingnan. If she hadn't sacrificed her life bearing the Marquis heir, you worthless trash wouldn't have crawled into our household. You think you can lord it over me just because your sister has some cunning ways in the palace? Let me tell you, the Marquis has eyes only for me. Only for our Gu family. You want to flaunt your nobility in front of me? Fine. then cling to that nobility and wait to sleep in an empty bed. She led Meng Qingyin away triumphantly. Nanny Lu grew anxious. Young miss, what if she complains to the Marquis on this joyous day? What if he refuses to show his face? My gaze fell to the floor. I fear not her complaints, but her silence. Such fine jade, what a waste. But if it secures dignity for my wedding, it's worth it. Gather these shards, then send word to the Marquis. Consort Gu shattered the imperial bracelet. Since I hold no official status and have erred, let his lordship decide how to handle this. Deep into the night, heavy dew fell as the wedding candles burned out. Meng Tianqing had finally entered my door. His features were strong and regular, his frame tall and sturdy. I had assumed that after generations of the Meng family serving in the military, by his time, there would be no need for him to lead troops to the frontiers. The glorious spirit of the early generals would surely have faded considerably. Unexpectedly, he was clean-cut and sharp, appearing younger than I had imagined. Consort Shui's timing is rather hasty. Today marks the mourning memorial for Lady Qin. My absence was for the sake of your family's reputation. His voice was icy, not once mentioning the bracelet. It sounded like he was explaining to Medhat today he had subjected me to humiliation, turning me into the laughingstock of the entire capital, all for my own good. In truth, he was warning me, while he could accept the imperial decree and agree to this marriage, he was no weakling to be manipulated at will by the imperial consorts. If I didn't know when to back down and insisted on making a scene, he wouldn't hesitate. It would be I who would drag my elder sister and brother into disgrace, subjecting them to censure as well. This clearly showed that my elder sister's intelligence was accurate. He was a man who yielded to gentleness but not to force, a man who brooked no nonsense. I decided to lay my cards on the table. Before your lordship, this humble wife dared not act presumptuously, nor would I ever dare to offend Sister Gu or disturb her peace. But I gently lifted the wedding wine cup, kneeling halfway as I offered it to him. His cold expression visibly faltered. When he looked over, my eyes were brimming with feigned vulnerability. Your lordship disgraced me the moment you entered this house. How am I to live here henceforth? He did not help me rise. Instead, he stared at me for a long moment with an intensely complex expression before taking the cup. He suddenly tilted his head back and downed it in one gulp, as if venting long-suppressed anguish. I steadied myself slightly, rose to tidy the bedding, and prepared to consummate this marriage with him. Suddenly, he called for someone to bring a bowl of medicinal soup. He stated bluntly, without pretense, I can grant you the dignity of a marquise, but the Dingnan Marquisate shall never have a second legitimate heir. He stood with his back to me. A single step would carry him out the door. It seemed I had underestimated the weight of his first wife in his heart. But this was for the best. Now, when I undermined the foundations of his marquisate, I would owe him no sense of guilt. Without hesitation, I lifted the bowl and drank it down in one gulp. He stumbled back in disbelief, turning to stare at me. You're so rash. I calmly wiped the medicine residue from my lips, my smile serene. Having married his lordship, I naturally place his needs above all else. Qingyin is his lordship's heir apparent. In time, he will also be my own flesh and blood. By retreating to advance, I secured Meng Tianxing's presence. Gu Wanning sent word, citing various excuses of unsuitability. He merely dispatched a servant with a calling card to request the imperial physician. For a concubine to receive treatment from the imperial physician was, in any other household, an immense favor. But Gu Wanning, relying on the Gu family's old connections, was accustomed to indulgence. When he couldn't dismiss the physician, he resorted to various excuses, lodging complaints again and again, causing a commotion that lasted well into the night. In the end, Meng Tianqing and I were unable to consummate our marriage. Yet the very next day, he kept his word, sending the steward with the ledger and pass token. I skimmed the accounts and caught a glimpse of something amiss, but I didn't call it out. I only asked, who used to manage the household. The steward, likely having received instructions, was noticeably more respectful toward me. Madam, since Lady Gussone's son began to show signs of illness, the Marquis deemed such mentally taxing tasks detrimental to her health. He ceased having her review the accounts and instead had concubine Gu handle them. Instead, if the information my elder sister gathered was accurate, Lady Gu passed away from illness 5 years ago. Gu Wanning didn't enter the household until a year after her death. My astonished follow-up seemed to alarm the steward. He chuckled awkwardly and hastily explained. Well, after Lady Gu became pregnant, she grew increasingly anxious. So the Gu household sent Lady Gus maid to accompany her both to share the household duties and to ease her mind. Having grown up in the capital, ID never heard of any family sending an unmarried concubine's daughter to live with their married legitimate daughter, effectively stepping into her role, unless, of course, the Gu family had already made up their minds. Should anything happen to their daughter, they could replace her with another daughter to secure the Marquisite's wealth and status. Unfortunately, there were no more legitimate daughters in the family, only a concubine's daughter. Otherwise, I truly wouldn't have been involved. I pretended not to care, casually collected the accounts, and treated it as the handover. I accepted the position of steward. That evening, Meng Tianqing dined with me. I brought up the topic of returning to my parents' home. My eldest sister intended to host a banquet, but as she is newly pregnant with the heir and his lordship is occupied with official duties, I took the liberty of submitting a formal request to the palace to decline the invitation. Meng Tianqing remained silent, focused on drinking his rice gruel. I sensed the moment and fell silent. After he set down his bowl and wiped his mouth, he said, I appreciate your discretion and consideration. I've instructed Wan Ning starting tomorrow. She will come to pay her respects to you. Startled, I dropped my chopsticks. My lord, you misunderstand. Consort Gu holds your favor and is Sister Gussone's sister. How could I presume to take her place? Besides, harmony brings prosperity. Since your lordship has already honored me, I am not so greedy. The candlelight flickered unevenly. It cast shadows beneath my lowered lashes, making me appear lonely and pitiable. After a long silence, I heard Meng Tianqing sigh deeply. Have you always been this cautious? I averted my gaze, trembling, and looked at him with eyes brimming with grievance, yet still smiling. Your lordship surely knows my family's history. Facing life and death, how could I dare to be greedy? That night, Meng Tianqing still went to see Gu Wanning. After he left, Nanny Lu pitied me deeply. All these years, you siblings have kept your past tightly sealed. Why must you reopen old wounds before him? I clutched the token in my hand, yet felt profoundly satisfied. My eldest sister was right. Exposing one's most vulnerable side awakens a man's protective instincts, that desire to conquer. It's the ultimate weapon to carve out a place in his heart. Meng Tianqing didn't like me, but after my repeated displays of submission and vulnerability, I was certain he didn't dislike me either. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given me the Dingnan Marquis token representing his status. He certainly wouldn't have agreed to let me enter and exit the palace under his banner. For several days, I wore the token prominently on my waist. Today, upon entering the palace again, my eldest sister's usually quiet Qixiang palace was bustling with visitors. I never imagined I'd one day benefit from your influence. Only after dismissing her attendants did my eldest sister speak to me. Catching her breath, the Dingnan Marquis household truly lives up to its reputation as a prestigious family. Just now, the Duchess of Xingua told me she's taken a liking to your brother and wishes to arrange a marriage. I was stunned, but my gaze quickly shifted to my sister's belly. I suspect they're not after the Dingnan Marquis estate, but the child growing inside you. Perhaps both, she replied, her back straightening with relief, no longer needing to stoop. A pregnancy shows in the 3rd month. Yet hers appeared as if 5 months along. We 3 siblings share in each other's glory and misfortune. When the time comes to pour oil on the fire, None of us can falter. I etched these words deep into my heart. Yet my constant retreat and avoidance did not bring lasting peace. One day, upon returning from the palace, I found Gu Wanning had assembled a formidable force of servants guarding the mansion gates. People pointed and whispered in every street and alley. She paid them no mind. Before I could dismount, she declared, "So this is you, Shui Wenxi, skimming allowances, embezzling family assets, and brazenly using the Marquis silver to support your sister in the palace. You've played the Marquis like a puppet, but I won't be fooled. Guards, bind her immediately and take her to the magistrate." The servants obeyed her command and swarmed toward me. Nanny Lu rushed to shield me. "You blind fools. How dare you lay a hand on the Marquis' wife?" Gu Wanning sneered. "How formidable, this Marquise. But alas, our dynasty's laws are strict. Betraying one's family deserves punishment and death." The servants still hesitated. She offered reassurance and enticed them with profit. "Fear not this treacherous old servant. I hold proof in my hands. Even if she beats the drum of petition, she cannot turn the tide. When the Marquis returns, I shall report to him. All who betray the enemy shall be richly rewarded." No one held back any longer. They rolled up their sleeves, flung their hands back, and charged at me with demonic ferocity, regardless of my guilt. Being shoved and dragged by these servants in public would destroy my reputation forever. Aunt Lu, knowing how crucial a woman's reputation is, risked her life to shield me. The situation spiraled out of control. Gu Wanning stood with arms folded, laughing triumphantly. "Hold." I brandished the Dingnan Marquis token. Everyone recoiled in fear, shrinking back without daring to move. The steward, in particular, shifted his gaze rapidly, dismissing the others and attempting to smooth things over with platitudes about misunderstandings. Gu Wanning glared awkwardly, still unwilling to relent. "She's waving a chicken feather like it's a command token. Who knows if she stole this token? Attack her." No one dared to move. Yet she refused to let go of this bait she'd set for so long, this chance to defeat me once and for all. Just as she was about to step in personally to drag me away. "What's all this commotion?" Meng Tianxing, the Imperial Patrol commander from the capital's outskirts, appeared outside the mansion gates on horseback, having returned a day early. But he wasn't alone. By his side was Eunuch Hai, the military inspector bearing the imperial banner. I'd met him twice at my eldest sister's palace. Adopting a dignified demeanor, I bowed respectfully. Gu Wanning, convinced she held the moral high ground, puffed herself up like a rooster and barged in front of Meng Tianxing. She ranted about sending me, the mistress of the house, to the capital's magistrate's office. Eunuch Hai sneered coldly. I wondered how the capital's military could be so absurd as to fail to recognize their master. So it was the Marquis doing. Not a single soul in this place knows their place. He flung his whip and rode off, refusing to hear any of Meng Tianxing's explanations. Gu Wanning, unable to gauge the gravity of the situation, persisted in her outburst. Meng Tianxing roared at her. "Enough." His face darkened like the bottom of a pot. It wasn't just Meng Tianxing. My eldest sister had also uncovered some details about Gu Wanning's background. Her birth mother, a concubine, was immensely favored within the Gu household and possessed considerable cunning. After the death of the Gu family's matriarch, she seized control of the entire household, stubbornly preventing the master from taking a new wife, raised by such a concubine. It was inevitable that she would grow narrow-minded. She valued only her own gains and losses, never once considering the interests of the family. Little did she know that the reputation of a noble household is something more precious than life itself. I feigned exhaustion, hoping to avoid the confrontation and let the matter cool. But she, stubbornly ignorant of kindness, seized the moment while Meng Tianxing was still fuming and dragged me into the fray. "Trying to hide because you feel guilty. Today, they'll tear off your mask and expose your true face." Meng Tianxing clutched his teacup lid, silent. I sighed helplessly, dismissed the servants, sealed the courtyard gate, then approached him. Sister Gu must have misunderstood me, since she insists. I request your lordship bear witness. Misunderstanding. Gu Wanning waved her hand with righteous indignation as servants brought forth the ledgers seized from my quarters. This month's stipends were delayed. When I sent someone to inquire, they claimed several estates were strained. The accounts were in deficit, and payment wouldn't be made until next month. Your lordship knows this well. I've managed the household for years. Though our Dingnan Marquisate isn't wealthy, we've never been so short of silver that people lost their livelihoods. Yet the moment Xue Wenxi took charge, we became so depleted we couldn't produce a single coin. She must be lining her own pockets, treating our Marquisate as a sucker to funnel money into the palace and pave the way for her sister. Fearing Meng Tianxing might not believe her, she flipped open the ledger, pointing out each major expenditure item by item. Coincidentally, these all occurred around the time I entered the palace. Then she summoned the gatehouse servants to testify. They all saw it. Every time she went to the palace, Xue Wenxi would sneak in a large wooden crate, likely stuffed full of ill-gotten gains. In no time, Meng Tianxing was led by the nose. He abruptly released his fingers, slamming the tea lid down. His gaze toward me darkened with fierce, ruthless malice. He slammed his hand on the table in sudden fury, clearly convinced that my recent docility and obedience had been nothing but an act to lull him into complacency. What more can you say? I bowed gracefully and replied. Regarding the deficit, I have nothing to say. Before my words faded, Gu Wanning couldn't hide her glee, yet she forced out a few tears and approached Meng Tianxing coyly. Your Excellency, I told you a woman like her isn't even fit to tie my sister's shoes. And yet, just now, in front of everyone, you scolded me. I laughed indifferently, seizing the moment before Meng Tianxing's fury reached its peak and he could punish me. I acted first, instructing Nanny Lu to bring over a stack of ledgers. But the embezzlement truly, it was not my doing. I implore your lordship to examine these records impartially. Gu Wanning's whimpering abruptly ceased. She stared intently at the ledgers, biting her lip hard. She must have been calculating. She had her people forge the accounts, send them to my quarters, and instruct the servants to destroy the genuine ledgers. Then she incited the estate stewards to collectively demand payment. By any means necessary, she intended to pin the blame squarely on me, sealing my fate. How could things go awry at such a critical juncture? She likely never considered that servants, too, are human. Seeking gain and avoiding harm is instinct. No matter how I brandished my elder sister's authority to threaten and bribe them, how could a mere fifth-rank official from the Gu family possibly counterbalance that? No, Your Excellency. These ledgers are fake. The ones in her room are the real ones. In desperation, she tried to confuse matters with the ledgers. I didn't argue with her. Instead, I picked up one ledger in each hand and placed them before Meng Tianxing. Both are accounts from 3 years ago. One handwriting is settled and weighty, the other light and flighty, some even bear ink that hasn't dried. Your lordship can see at a glance which is genuine. As for the deficit in the accounts, it is indeed factual. Nanny Lu had been waiting for this moment. Before I could beckon, she led the stewards inside to testify. The first two spoke vaguely, hesitant to state outright that Gu Wanning had threatened them into demanding funds from the Marquis estate, then siphoning money from the manor's accounts to send to the Gu family. The last one, whose daughter had been snatched by a Gu family concubine's son to become his secondary wife, simply quit entirely. They piled on a slew of other damning accusations, each more chilling than the last. I hastily intervened, handing them some silver. You are all long-serving elders of the Marquis household. I had no idea you suffered such injustices. I implore you, for the sake of the Meng family's ancestors, to bear with us. May we continue to work together in harmony, sharing the Marquis' burdens and troubles. Having spoken, I bowed slightly in the manner befitting a mistress of the house. Their faces flushed crimson as they knelt. swearing repeatedly to keep silent and serve diligently. Meng Tianxing's gaze toward me shifted from murky to clear, tinged with an unfamiliar emotion. But I paid it no mind. My sole concern was this. From this day forward, the entire inner quarters would follow my lead alone. I was the sole mistress of the Dingnan Marquis residence. Just as I was about to step out of the courtyard, I heard the sound of shattering glass from the room where only Meng Tianxing and Gu Wanning remained. Nanny Lu voiced her indignation on my behalf. A mere concubine dares to act so brazenly, showing no respect for the mistress of the house. You finally had her cornered. Why didn't you seize the moment to strike and rid yourself of this troublesome creature? After all, she's the one stirring up trouble and making a spectacle of herself. Even if you turned the tables on her, the Marquis couldn't possibly find fault. I merely smiled. Before I could respond, a dark figure darted around the corner, colliding with me and sending me off balance. You really are a wicked woman. Meng Chenjian's face flushed crimson, his undisguised hatred glaring at me. He whipped his head around and stormed straight into the inner courtyard. Watching his stubborn, naive back, I pressed down Nanny Lu's hand as she checked for injuries. You seem to have forgotten, Mother, that the Gu family still has a young master. Setting aside past feelings, as long as he exists, even if Gu Wanning commits the gravest offense, it would only be a fleeting moment. Why should I court trouble? Dark clouds obscured the moon. Thunder rumbled ominously. A downpour was imminent. I quickened my pace toward my own courtyard. Besides, I married into this Dingnan Marquis household never to win my husband's favor. To obsess over internal strife within these walls would be putting the cart before the horse. Today in the palace, not only did my eldest sister attain the rank of consort Jean, but my brother also returned victorious. His Majesty exceptionally promoted him to general and entrusted him with command of a personal guard unit. In the past, whenever my brother received promotions or honors, my eldest sister would whisper persuasively in the emperor's ear. Yet at the final moment, the court officials controlled by the aristocratic clans would always intervene and advise against it. Was it because my brother's military achievements weren't sufficient to win their respect? No. It was simply that our Shui family had fallen into decline. Our insignificant status meant they never took us seriously. Now, flying the banner of the Marquis of Dingnan, I've infiltrated the highest circles and secured tangible benefits for my elder sister and brother. That alone is enough. Torrential raindrops crashed down. Amid the fierce downpour, Meng Tianxing, soaked to the bone, knocked on my door. I feigned surprise, pausing before stepping aside to let him in. His eyes blazed as he suddenly seized the hand ID raised to wipe his face. You still haven't explained what's in the chest you carry to the palace each day. I flinched, pulling my hand away. My trembling fingertips turned me halfway away. He stubbornly turned me back to face him, demanding, I ask you a question. What is it? I had no choice but to have Nanny Lu bring the box over. Before his eyes, I emptied its entire contents. Your lordship, rest assured, these hairpins and ornaments, though I obtained them from Consort Zhou, were never registered in the palace records. I had servants take them out to pawn. No one will notice. He stared silently, his expression impossible to read, whether pleased or angry. My voice trembled as I continued explaining. The Marquis household supports so many mouths to feed. The deficit grew too large. Even my entire dowry wasn't enough to cover it. That's why I resorted to this scheme. Rest assured, your lordship, I told the consort I wanted to purchase land. I never disclosed our household's troubles, so no one would. The rest of my words died on my lips. It was Meng Tianxing without warning. He pulled me into his embrace. His grip was fierce and brutal, squeezing me until I struggled to breathe. Nearly choking, a long time passed. He exhaled a long, weary sigh, leaning close to whisper in my ear, You are the mistress of this house. Whatever you decide, it is yours to command. The rain fell all night long, watching Meng Tianxing's peaceful sleeping face. I lay awake the entire night. Nothing had changed, yet a strange tenderness had unexpectedly opened up deep within me. mixed with the raw innocence of first experience. It caught me completely off guard. The next day, Lady Lu came to collect the handkerchief, looking quite pleased. Coincidentally, Meng Tianqing suggested we go to the palace together to make up for the missed return visit ceremony. While he went ahead to report the camp inspection to His Majesty, Nanny Lu closed the door and eagerly shared the happy news with my eldest sister. My sister smiled gently, eating 2 extra pieces of the pastries she'd been unable to touch due to morning sickness. She then mentioned the matter of succession from the previous dynasty. Those old ministers were impatient, spouting all sorts of rhetoric about court order and the state's foundation, urging His Majesty to establish the succession early. But really, they were just afraid that the one growing inside me might one day emerge and shake their very foundations. There are no walls in the palace that keep secrets. With the birth approaching, my eldest sister could no longer conceal her months or the child's gender. Therefore, the succession matter, regardless of who comes first, will give you a prescription to take back. It will surely help you conceive sooner. My eldest sister dispatched a trusted servant to fetch the formula. I stopped the person, after hesitating for a long time under my sister's questioning gaze. I finally revealed the truth. Nanny Lu's hand trembled as she held the tray of pastries, and it crashed to the floor. The shattering sound wrenched at my heart. When I looked up again, my eldest sister's eyes, fixed on me with such intensity, were already misty. Silly little sister, without a child, without any support, how do you plan to live out the rest of your life in the Dingnan Marquis mansion? Her fingers, hidden beneath the table, clenched tightly. Sharp nails dug into her palms, drawing several bloody streaks in moments. I hurriedly knelt before her knees, just as she had comforted me and my brother countless times in childhood. With her there, we would always be protected. I gathered her hands, prying open her stiffened knuckles. Through tears, she forced a smile. Who says I must stay at the Dingnan Marquis residence forever? With you, my eldest sister, and my brothers, I will always be a child of the Shui family. Swallowing her own tears, my eldest sister also curved her lips into a smile, nodding firmly at me. Besides, it's true I cannot bear children, but lacking support, that's not necessarily the case. My eldest sister paused, then quickly grasped the deeper meaning in my words. She immediately dispatched messengers to request an imperial banquet to entertain Meng Tianqing. During the feast, Meng Tianqing shed his former coldness, rising to pay his respects. He offered a toast to my sister. Your Excellency's kindness leaves this humble servant deeply humbled. For your assistance in the garrison inspection, I offer my sincerest gratitude. My elder sister exchanged a knowing glance with me. Others remained unaware that she and Eunuch Hai had long reached an understanding. Should she rise to high office in the future, his pivotal role in her ascent would be undeniable. Playing along with such theatrics was the easiest thing in the world for her. Yet outwardly, she measured her gesture of goodwill with perfect precision. We are family, Your Lordship. Such formalities are unnecessary. She deliberately replaced the pregnancy soup with plum wine. Only my sister here is a bit clueless. I beg your lordship's indulgence. Meng Tianqing turned his gaze to me, his usually stern and solemn face softening with warmth. Right in front of my eldest sister, he took my hand resting on the table. Lady Wenxi has been well bred by her mother. She is both beautiful and wise, gentle and virtuous. In the past, this humble servant harbored reservations and was indeed disrespectful. From this day forward, I shall treat her well. To show his sincerity, he had someone bring in the wooden chest I often carried into the palace, saying that the previous betrothal gifts were insufficient and he wished to add to my trousseau. My elder sister and I immediately understood that he did not want to give our Shui family any grounds for criticism. But matters having come to this, we were determined to give him that opportunity. You two are now husband and wife. What is yours is hers, and what is hers is yours. Is it not? My elder sister not only returned the chest but added several more land deeds. She made only one request. I hear the Crown Prince's birthday is approaching. As his maternal aunt, I shall present him with an early birthday gift. Gu Wanning had learned to be clever. For days on end, Meng Tianqing stayed at my quarters. She not only refrained from crying or fussing but also performed her morning and evening duties without fail, never missing a single day. The only catch was she always brought Meng Qingyin along. The two of them, big and small, would recount how the Gu family had been in the past. Though Meng Tianqing would occasionally glance at my expression, he inevitably joined in with a few words of his own. Your lordship, for Chenjian's birthday banquet, shall we follow the old custom and have the Gu family host it? Before Meng Tianqing could speak, it seemed the matter was already settled. Meng Qingyin jumped with delight, clapping his hands non-stop in excitement. Gu Wanning busied herself making arrangements, deciding which noble houses to send invitations to. All the while, she flicked a defiant glance my way, declaring, even if I temporarily established myself in the Dingnan Marquis residence and asserted my authority as the primary wife, what of it? Gu Chenjian's veins still carried the Gu family's blood. Sooner or later, she, Gu Wanning, would trample me beneath her feet. She would make the entire capital witness that even as a concubine, she could outshine the mistress in both dignity and splendor. I didn't confront her directly then and there. Instead, I summoned the tutor responsible for Gu Chenjian's education. In front of Meng Tianqing, I recounted Gu Chenjian's academic progress in meticulous detail. 3 days fishing, 2 days drying nets. His assignments are half-hearted, riddled with errors. The rigid old scholar possessed innate pride, his words cutting without mercy. Proper etiquette between legitimate and concubine-born children is fundamental to human relations. Since the young master follows his elder's guidance, focusing solely on martial arts and neglecting scholarly pursuits, why invite this old man to waste his efforts? This old man hereby resigns. Your lordship need not attempt to retain me. Out of consideration for the Marquis' household reputation, the tutor avoided naming Gu Wanning directly, referring only to the family elders. His resolve was firm. However, he refused even this month's tuition payment and swept his sleeves aside in departure. His son was a disappointment, and now had been publicly mocked by an outsider. Meng Tianqing was furious. The martial general's formidable strength was now channeled into the crooked, sloppy schoolwork before him. Scattered scraps of paper littered the room everywhere. Seizing the moment, I dipped my brush and wrote 4 characters. A mother's love for her calf. I never knew your calligraphy was so exquisite. The strokes danced like dragons and snakes. Elegant and spirited. The Shui family had been a scholarly lineage for centuries, and my calligraphy was inherited directly from my father. Yet, faced with Lord Meng's praise, I only feigned coyness. There's so much about me you don't know, your lordship. Seeing the flicker of guilt cross his face, he began to play with my fingers, and my agitation gradually subsided. I recalled my childhood. My calligraphy was first taught by my father, then honed through my elder sister's constant urging and rigorous practice. They always said that though our dynasty was founded through martial prowess, it was governed through scholarship. Even as a woman, barred from official positions, putting in extra effort could never be a bad thing. Meng Tianqing listened thoughtfully. After a long moment, he sighed deeply. Your father and eldest sister were far-sighted. They were right. Having inherited a hereditary title and served as an official for decades, Meng Tianqing commanded the capital's military forces yet held only a third-rank position, constantly restrained by eunuchs. He likely understood this truth all too well, his sigh heavy with regret. Now, his most cherished child faced the very real possibility of repeating this pattern. How could he accept it? I know your lordship cherishes Sister Gu and does not wish the stepmother to meddle in Chenjian's affairs. Yet, as the saying goes, rough words, but true, Qingyin is the legitimate heir of the Meng family and the heir apparent to the Marquis of Dingnan. When he inherits the family legacy, it will be the glory of the Meng ancestors he upholds, not that of the Gu family. I imagine Sister Gu, if she has a spirit in heaven, would wish above all that Qingyin face no censure and secure a bright future. Weigh the importance of each matter carefully, your lordship. For the sake of the Marquis household and for Chenjian's sake, please exercise utmost caution. Come evening. Gu Wanning stormed into my courtyard and caused quite a scene. I underestimated you, Shui Wenxi. Playing the virtuous. Feigning weakness, it's one thing to show off in your own little corner. But now you've grown bold enough to trample on the Gu family and flaunt your power. Don't think I don't know your scheme. First, you charmed the Marquis into pretending magnanimity. Once you bear a legitimate heir, you'll instantly turn on him and seize the title. Too bad the Marquis holds deep affection for my sister. You may have won this birthday banquet, but you'll never win a lifetime. Then I've won against you too. Before, whether in public or private, I always kept my sharp edges hidden, avoiding direct conflict with Gu Wanning. She likely assumed I was merely bottling up my anger, determined to play the part of the silent sufferer to the end. But now, Meng Tianqing holds 7 parts respect and 3 parts trust for me. Why should I continue to suppress myself? I only wish to provoke her into complete fury. What did you say? Fuming, she lunged forward, raising her hand to slap me in fury. I remained composed, continuing to sip my tea. The burly maidservants, already positioned by Nanny Lu, shoved her violently backward. She stumbled and fell. There she lay, prostrate before the servants who obeyed only my commands, humiliated and disheveled. My mockery grew sharper. My sister speaks truly. I harbor ill intent and love to feign. Unlike you, who, even relying on Sister Gus' old affection, has no room for pretense. Adding fuel to the smoldering embers, Gu Wanning's last shred of reason snapped under my provocation. She scrambled to her feet, lunging for me again, held back by others, unable to touch me. She vented her fury on the furnishings instead. Fine. Pretend. I'll make you pretend. Porcelain, calligraphy, tables, chairs, beds, all were smashed to smithereens in her desperate fury. It truly surprised me that she'd so easily fall for the same trick again. What's all this commotion? Meng Tianqing, who should have been patrolling the camp, was summoned back to the mansion early once more. Gu Wanning was about to turn the tables, accusing me of bullying her with the authority of the mistress and her servants. But when I glanced back, there was no trace of that condescending attitude. Everyone was kneeling reverently at a distance, pleading in unison for her to calm down. Instead, she was holding the ancestral tablet of the Meng family, the very one I had invited to honor as a token of sincerity, unable to raise it or put it down. I quickly bowed and stepped before Meng Tianqing. The birthday banquet was originally to be hosted by my sister at the Gu residence. Now that it has been moved to the Marquis residence for me to oversee, her resentment is understandable. I beg the Marquis not to punish her. You still dare to pretend. In her desperation, Gu Wanning swung the tablet straight toward my head. I bowed my head in reverence, braced to take the blow, but unexpectedly, Meng Tianqing stepped in front of me. The sharp edge of the tablet struck his temple squarely. A crimson trickle of blood instantly ran down his cheek. Your lordship. Your lordship. It wasn't me. I didn't mean to. Gu Wanning whimpered in terror, kneeling to plead her innocence, insisting it wasn't her fault. But the evidence was undeniable. How could Meng Tianqing believe a single word she said? Guards, confine concubine Gu to her quarters. No one is to release her without my direct order. Take the young master to the lattice quarters. From this day forward, all his mundane affairs shall be managed by the lady. At first, I thought Meng Tianqing behaved so properly and wasn't so arrogant toward me because he was living under someone else's roof. Later, when Nanny Lu tried several times to bathe him, he refused each time. He held out for a full fortnight. Tomorrow is the birthday banquet. Delaying any longer would make him unpresentable. Only then did I begin to suspect something was amiss. Let go of me. This crown prince will expose that wicked woman for what she truly is, so all of the capital can see her venomous heart. Amidst the struggle, half of Meng Chenjian's robe was torn. revealing a scar beneath. Nanny Lu, terrified, waved her hands frantically to explain. Miss, I truly didn't use harsh hands. Consort Gu is an irritating woman. But at my age, I wouldn't take it out on a child. What? What on earth is going on here? Meng Qingyin stubbornly refused to let go. I frowned and barked at him. Let go. He released his grip, and I seized the moment to strip off all his upper garments. His small frame, barely over half a man's height, was covered in layer upon layer of scars front and back. Not a single inch of skin left untouched. The freshest wounds were 2 whip marks on his arms, the flesh still peeling back. Scabs not yet formed. Who did this? I crouched down to meet his gaze. My voice dark and menacing. He flashed his true nature, sneering at me with smug satisfaction. You. Of course. And at tomorrow's birthday banquet, they'll tell everyone you abused me, seized me, and tried to seize the Marquis estate and my father. They'll make sure everyone knows you're unworthy to be my mother. Once you're gone, my real mother can come back. What a despicable tactic. Had it not been for Nanny Lu's keen attention to detail, I might truly have been ruined tomorrow. The respect Meng Tianqing had painstakingly earned would have been utterly destroyed. Unable to suppress a sneer, I mocked him. Your mother won't be coming back. In an instant, Meng Tianqian's smugness vanished. He jerked his head up and shouted at me. You're lying. My stepmother said my mother is in heaven. You've taken her place. That's why she can't come back. She will come back. She wouldn't abandon me. Come back. My smile grew more and more unrestrained. She's long dead. Her ashes might not even exist anymore. How could she possibly return? Meng Tianqian's eyes instantly reddened. You're lying. My mother isn't dead. She's not dead. Nanny Lu hurried to restrain me. Young lady, please. He's just a child. Suddenly, I lost control. Consumed by fury, I shoved Nanny Lu aside, then seized Meng Tianqian's shoulders, forcing him to look at me. She's dead. She's dead. No matter how much you lie to yourself, she's still dead. After shouting that, I felt much calmer. Meng Tianqian's terrified gaze froze on my face. When he snapped back to reality, he burst into sobs. No, no, my mother can't be dead. He swung his tiny fists in defiance, landing blows on my shoulders and face. I took each one, watching him as he denied it, his cries slowly drowning out his shouts, pouring out the deepest agony imaginable, until, exhausted, he gradually quieted. I raised my hand to wipe away the tears that had soaked my face without my noticing. I pressed my hand against the back of his head, pulling him into my embrace. Years later, I still remember it clearly, when my eldest sister came to release me and my brother from prison. He was the same age. I asked her where our father and mother were. She was even crueler than I am to Meng Qingyin today, mercilessly revealing the truth before taking us to the mass grave to collect their remains. See. This is what happens when people are at the mercy of others. This is the fate of the insignificant, the easily trampled. Our temporary humiliation matters little now, but as descendants of the Shui family, we must inherit our ancestors' spirit. One day, we will clear our parents' names and restore our family's honor. My eldest sister played both stern father and tender mother. She revealed the harsh truths of this world while shielding my brother and me from its grinding cruelty. Perhaps stirred by the scene before me, seeing Meng Qingyin now, I found myself inexplicably mimicking my sister's actions. Speak up if it hurts. I ordered everyone out, carefully cleaned his wounds, and applied the finest healing ointment to each one. Meng Qingyin clenched his teeth the entire time, listless and refusing to utter another word. I had no intention of pretending to be gentle and virtuous in front of a child. I stood up, about to leave. He suddenly sprang to his feet and wrapped his arms around my waist. Looking down, I saw his reddened eyes glistening with a final spark of clarity. Is my mother truly never coming back? I sighed deeply, saying nothing. After hesitating, I finally nodded. I thought he would let go then, release his grasp. Instead, he suddenly made a request. Then, could you stay with me? Meng Tianqing happened to be on duty and wasn't at the residence. Not wanting my newly made clothes torn, I stayed. All night long, he chattered incessantly. Don't think I'm accepting you as my mother because I'm afraid of you. Afraid of what? Afraid you'll be left alone in an empty room. Such a young age, yet he understood quite a lot. Mentioning this, he grew more animated. But I can tell you a secret to comfort you, you're not the only one left alone in the mansion. Besides Gu Wanning, I'd never seen other female relatives in the home mansion. Who could he be referring to? My stepmother. Father is strange, she's already here. Yet he always sleeps in the side hall. Only I suffer. Once father leaves, I'm sure to get a good scolding. His previously animated head drooped. What kind of logic was this? Since Meng Tianqing intended to support his late wife's family by taking her younger sister as a noble concubine, he should have followed through bearing a child to maintain this marital bond. Yet all these years, Gu Wanning had remained childless. This likely wasn't the Gu family's or Gu Wanning's intention. As for the underlying reasons, they were certainly beyond the comprehension of a mere child like him. The only thing he knew for certain was that Gu Wanning had always held him in her grasp. She used his status and Meng Tianxing's longing for the Gu family to vie for his favor and secure the greatest benefit for the Gu household. So, all your injuries were they inflicted by Gu Wanning? Meng Qingyin avoided my gaze guiltily, turning his body away as he muttered softly. Well, not exactly. Stepmother said the Ho family is a military lineage, and father is a high-ranking general. I have to endure the punishment and train relentlessly in martial arts. Only then will father like me and come to see me. Outside the window, a clear sky held a bright moon, though he fell silent. The frogs croaking in the courtyard made sleep impossible. I lost track of time, unsure if he had drifted off. In the darkness, I hesitated repeatedly before finally blurting out, "He's your father. And you're his son. Even if you were a useless good for nothing, he would still love you." The birthday banquet was grand and splendid. Not only did noble ladies from major clans grace the estate with their presence, but the Duchess of the state-protecting house was doubly delighted. She immediately arranged a marriage with my elder brother, exchanging birth charts with the Duke's daughter. Everyone was radiant with joy, except for Gu Wanning, who had lost her mind. She barged in brazenly, tearing at Gu Chenjian's clothes. She wailed for justice, demanding everyone bear witness. My sister gave her life to bear this child. Now this poisonous woman, for the Marquis' wealth and prestige, beats him, harms him, and forces him to accept a traitor as his mother. The atmosphere froze abruptly, yet no one responded to her accusations. As the head mistress of the household, she knew full well that in such a setting, a concubine's presence was utterly unacceptable. To respond would be to lower one's own standing, to become as unpresentable and ignorant of propriety as the concubine herself. Moreover, this was another family's affair, none of their business. Meng Tianqing, exasperated, ordered her to be taken away immediately. I, too, played along, smoothing things over and attending to the guests. Yet Gu Wanning insisted on charging headlong toward ruin. She secretly twisted Gu Qingyin's arm, her eyes filled with venom, forcing him to slander me. Qingyin, think of your mother. You needn't fear this venomous viper. Quickly, tell your father, tell everyone, how she treated you. Her grip tightened relentlessly. Finally unable to endure, Meng Qingyin mustered every ounce of strength to struggle free. The moment he broke free, he dashed to hide behind me. Don't mention my mother. You're the one who deceived me. She's dead, she'll never come back. And father doesn't dislike me either. Don't you dare hit me again. The commotion drove everyone to take their leave. Only after the house was empty did Meng Tianqing close the door and piece together what had happened. Meng Chenjian's body was covered in bruises, irrefutable evidence that even Gu Wanning's silver tongue couldn't wash away. His eyes blazed with fury. Fists clenched and trembling, Meng Tianqing fought to restrain himself from lashing out. He grabbed Gu Wanning by the collar, hoisting her up. "Get out of the Gu household. Never, ever let me see you again." Gu Wanning's face had been ashen, but upon hearing she was being cast out, she suddenly burst into maniacal laughter. "You want me to leave? You actually want me to leave? When I was secretly involved with you, my brother-in-law, without any claim to legitimacy, why didn't you tell me to get lost? When my sister discovered us, leading to her death in childbirth, why didn't you tell me to get lost then?" So-called loving spouses, whether it was deep-rooted affection they couldn't extricate themselves from, or a desire to appear devoted and loyal to outsiders, only those immersed in it could truly know. Meng Tianqing instinctively looked up at me. I avoided his gaze, took Meng Chenjian's hand, and stepped outside. The long, winding corridor plunged into a momentary darkness, its depths obscuring the end. Meng Qingyin asked me, "What did Auntie Gu mean? Could it be that father killed mother?" I didn't answer him, for I didn't know the truth. I only said, "Your mother is gone now. Her soul scattered and dreams vanished. It's time to let her rest in peace." Without Gu Wanning, the Dingnan Marquis mansion grew quieter, as if the truth of that day had never been exposed. Meng Qingyin studied diligently under the tutor I had invited back. Meng Tianqing and I played the part of a harmonious couple, moving between the grand mansions of the nobility, until His Majesty suddenly fell gravely ill. Led by the Duke of Jingua, a group of military families and aristocratic clans earnestly requested the court and the realm to enthrone the Prince of Ding, the infant son of my eldest sister, as crown prince. Amidst the atmosphere of heightened suspicion, Meng Tianqing did not go to the garrison. Instead, he made a special trip back to spend a warm night with me. After the storm subsided, he pulled me close from behind, his breath heavy. "I've already affixed my seal to the Duke of the State's petition. Good news from the palace should come soon enough. You won't need to play along under my banner anymore." My body stiffened. I didn't turn around, nor did I speak. It wasn't surprise that had seen through my true purpose in marrying into the Dingnan Marquis household, but rather the Meng family's ancestral precept: serve only as loyal subjects, never engage in factional strife. Otherwise, I wouldn't have sought distant solutions while neglecting the obvious, severing all ties with him. "I never gave you closure about Chen Yang. It's true Gu Wanning seduced me, and I betrayed Chen Yang while trying to preserve my reputation. I intended to drift through life in this daze, punishing myself until the end, yet I never imagined heaven would send you to me, compared to Chen Yang, who suffocated me with the weight of childhood friendship. Your insincere yet seemingly genuine demeanor has made me truly unable to let you go." These words came too suddenly. They stirred no ripple in my heart, yet sent shivers down my spine, leaving me dazed and disoriented. Even when someone burst in, intending to capture me as leverage to bargain with my eldest sister guarded by the palace's most formidable guards, I remained in a fog, as if trapped in a dream. Only when Han Lin's sword pierced Meng Tianxing's chest to save me did reality snap back. He fell before me, landing in my arms. Meng Qingyin cried out desperately, "Father, don't leave. Don't abandon me like mother did." Meng Tianqing merely stroked his head and said, "From now on, she is your mother. You must protect her as a father would." Then, gathering all his strength into his fingertips, he reached for my cheek, reaching for a response I had never given. "I have already failed Chen Yang, but thankfully, I have not failed you." His finger fell with a thud. Even in that final moment, I remained stingy, unable to offer him a single word from my heart. My elder brother arrived a step too late. Seeing me unharmed, he released his grip and seized the opportunity to eliminate all the remnants of the traitorous forces. Amidst celestial jade and jadeite, flakes of willow catkins and goose down drifted. As the vast earth shone pure and bright, they guarded the new emperor's ascension, with the Holy Mother ruling as regent. The first great matter of the new dynasty was the court's petition to clear father's wrongful conviction. In life, father upheld righteousness and integrity. For the court and the people, he committed no wrong. Yet half the court, displeased with his new policies, declared his death deserved. Now that he is gone, what difference does it make if the case is resolved fairly or not? They are eager to clear his posthumous name. My eldest sister, who had finally ascended to the highest throne, was not as at peace as I had imagined. Instead, her countenance, which had once shone as brightly as spring sunshine, now grew dark and gloomy as cold autumn rain from time to time. Only when she saw me and my brother did a precious spark of joy appear. Regardless, Meng Tianqing saved you. That is a great merit. I have already had Meng Qingyin inherit the title and elevated him to Duke of Dinghua. As for you, 2 imperial edicts, sealed in bright yellow, lay before me. Once more, she placed the choice in my hands. The title is the same. The rank is the same, only the surname differs. Meng Xuesher. Zueshia single characters difference. It could erase all past grievances and entanglements within the Dinghua Marquis estate. As I hesitated to decide, someone from the Gu family came to apologize. My daughter, I once thought she only pushed herself into this marquisate to vie for favor with the legitimate daughter. But now I see. Her feelings for the marquis are genuine. Gu Wanning died the very night Meng Tianqing saved me. Hearing of the marquisite's attack, she fled in panic and perished amidst the chaos. Her birth mother knelt before me, pleading for mercy to bury her in the Meng family ancestral tomb. Uncertain how to respond as her mother, I left the decision to Meng Qingyin, now the family head. Mother, Meng Qingyin knelt before me, clutching my leg tightly. I don't want to be head of the family. I only want you. Father told me you're my mother, I won't let you leave. But what does staying here truly mean? Gu Wanning's dying wish made me realize. Staying with the Mengs means that centuries from now, on the banks of the Bridge of Despair, they'll still meet Meng Tianqing. When that time comes, if he insists on demanding an answer from me, how could I possibly evade him? My heart was in turmoil. The momentary agitation made my head spin, and I lost consciousness. When I awoke again, Meng Qingyin led the entire retinue of the Marquis household, joyfully gathered at my bedside. Congratulations, madam, congratulations. I was pregnant. The child was already 2 months old. Meng Qingyin exerted tremendous effort to drag in the wooden chest my elder sister had returned. The gold, silver, and land holdings inside remained untouched, except for an added will. The title and estate of the Marquis of Dingnan shall be entirely decided by Shui Wenxi, final decree of the family head. Meng Tianqing. Such a distant form of address. Meng Tianqing had already made the decision for Mei He intended to restore my freedom. A surge of inexplicable stubbornness welled up inside me, blurring my vision with a haze of white. I resolved that one day, given the chance, I would ask him directly. Who gave you the right? I am Shui Wenxi, the Lady of Dingnan. The end.